Well, yeah, gotta do a kiss tune.
All right. Well, why not?
How you talking?
All right.
Woo! Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Back tomorrow.
And you show us everything you got. You keep on dancing and the room gets hot. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. You say you wanna go for a spin. The party just because we'll let you in. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. What? You keep on shouting, you keep on shouting. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day.
You keep on saying you'll be mine for a while. Looking fancy and I like your style. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. Oh, almost. Take it away, Benjamin. And you say you wanna go for a spin. The party just will go let me in. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy.
You keep on shouting, you keep on shouting.
Huh?
What? No. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day.
Thank you for watching BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO. Yeah. You have been watching BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO. Was that transition too abrupt?
No, I thought it would work totally.
Oh, okay. Okay, hey, BOOZHOO. Welcome back to BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO, a podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. I am NANABOOZHOO, and this,
Yeah.
the lovely and talented Natasha. Ikadon BOOZHOO, Winnie Mushain. Say hello, sweetheart.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
And over here, the rock star cartoonist, Michael Lyons. Ikadon BOOZHOO, Michael Lyons. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. And yeah, so here we are. It's a happy Monday. And Brian Souls, first in the line, first in class. Brian's here, sweetie.
And Brian gets a gold star on the chart here on the board. He's the first in line.
Hey, Brian, how you doing? Welcome back. And yeah, so I want to rock and roll all night and party every day. Do you still feel that way, Paul?
Do I still feel like I want to rock and roll all night and party every day? No.
Really?
Come on, I'm 69 years old. I just want to take a nap sometimes.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. Of course I want to rock and roll all night and party every day. Oh, whoa, 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 woohoo! I love to rock and roll.
All right. Paul Stanley, yes. And Brian says thanks for the gold star.
Oh, you earned it, Brian.
Yeah. He earned it by clicking. What's going on here? Brian's probably at work right now, and he's like, all right, work day just started. How can I blow off 60 minutes and not be productive? Oh, I know. Let's go see what's going on in a BOOZHOO crew. Nah, I don't know.
Why do people watch this show? Because they want to learn about Ojibwe language and culture. Really? I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I think they want to be entertained. Well, why do I watch a show? Because you're on it. Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of my fat face. I mean, I guess there is part of it. You know, you can learn a phrase here and there. Like you can learn the word for Monday in Ojibwe. I actually, you know what? Why I think people tune in? Why? Well, I think a lot of men out there heard that Brandy Marie shows up here once in a while. And I think they got a shot with her. With Brandy Marie? Yeah, that's my theory. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, huh? I wonder if she'll show up today. Oh, there she is. Bonjour, Brandy Marie. Mino Giga Jabe. Good morning. Brandy's here, sweetie. Hi, Brandy. Brian says, I am going to go to Mackinac next weekend and have to brush up on some phrases. Oh, okay. What's a phrase Brian can use when he goes to Mackinac? Mackinac. Is that island? Is that place? I hear Mackinac Island has like weird, perfectly circular or spherical ball rocks. And nobody can explain, where did these rocks come from? They're like little marbles out of rock. Is almost the only thing I know about that place. And is that the place where you have to ride a bike? I think. Are you going to Mackinac Island? Or am I thinking of something totally different? But yeah, you know, when you get there, if you see somebody, you can say, BOOZHOO. And they'll know that you're saying hello. And be ready, they might say, BOOZHOO. And then that means they're saying hello back. After that, you're kind of on your own. Let's just hope they know English too. Yeah, you think they do? Pretty sure they know English. English. Me talk English. Me talk English good. Oh, you speak English well? You talk pretty. I don't know. Brandy Marie says, what the heck did I just text? I don't know. Where is she? Oh, she took it away. I wonder if Brandy Marie was texting some curse words. Words of curse. Brandy, this is a children's show. You can't be saying that those coarse language, you know. We say pee-pee and poo-poo, or number 1 and number 2. We don't say the gross words about it here. You know, if you want to talk about making babies, we say the birds and the bees. You know, we speak in euphemism. Euphemism? Yeah. I wish I knew what that word means. I think euphemism is like a common speech that you say one thing that means another. Really? I don't know. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And Jim Dunn's here. Hey, Jim, what's going on? Mino Giga Jabe. Jim's here, sweetie. Bonjour, Jim. Yeah. Brian says, the island is an old Ojibwe burial ground. Oh, is that it? It's a burial ground. Oh, wow. There's been some talk in the news lately about Indian mounds, burial mounds, they call them. And of course, you know, anything you're going to see on the news or in Facebook, social media now, there's always got to be some issue, you know, to prove racism and or something. It's always, remember like back in the good old days when the news was always about celebrities and, you know, people wanted to be entertained and, you know, there was, you know, blood and gore in the news too. But now it's always about one group protesting another group. One group doing something because of, you know, like this lady I know, she started her own publishing company. She goes, oh, I couldn't get my book published. They said my character wasn't, you know, marketable. So I started my own book publishing. So people like me who, you know,
want to read books, but where historically our people, are underrepresented in literature. And I'm like, maybe you're just a crappy writer. Maybe it's not because the publishing industry is against you historically oppressing Native American women. You might just be a crap writer. But so anyway, Indian burial mounds. My whole life we used to drive by these mounds. In fact, we even have a town in Minnesota called Mounds. And they have Indian mounds. And there'll be a sign there, oh, here lies an Indian mound. But then you learn something about your ancestors. And they go, yeah, well, we had these long houses, right? So when people died, we'd make essentially like a, this big long house. And, buried them on top of the ground. And it kind of looked like a little dog house, or long, skinny, like a long house. But, and I finally went, what in the world is an Indian burial mound? Are they burying Indians like in mass? Is this like some sort of huge mass grave of Indians? What are you talking about, burial mound?
Yeah, no kidding. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. I don't know. What's an Indian mound? And then I looked into it a little bit, and they go, yeah, they've excavated some of these burial mounds, and there'll be like a single. There's like a room down there. It's apparently Indian burial mounds are way older than history records. We don't know what they are. They found like a skeleton down there, and it'll also have like a clay pot, copper stuff, water in there. And I don't know if it was a burial mound or not. It's kind of like how they used to say the pyramids. Oh, that's where they would bury the pharaohs. It's like, really? They built a huge stone pyramid for one guy's tomb? That sounds ridiculous. So I still don't know what Indian burial mounds are. But let me fix my chair here. Anyway. But that's not so important. What's important here is I think it's high time we start talking about Jessie Waboo's behind her back.
Don't talk about her behind her back.
I mean, I wouldn't want to say this stuff in front of her face because it would hurt her feelings. But she is so gorgeous, it hurts your eyes. You go, you're too beautiful. I can't look at her for very long or my eyes start to hurt. It's kind of like looking at the face of God. Your face will just burn right off.
Sweetie, she's here already.
What? Oh, brother. Boy, is my face red. They're going to call me a redskin next.
Get out of here.
Just kidding. Hey, Jessica Waboos, how are you? What's up, sister? Sister from another mister.
She's your sister from another mister.
Yeah. How's it going? And who else is here? Yeah, just the boys. It's kind of a boys club today. Jessica and the boys. If we start a rock band with Jessica, we could call it Jessica and the Boys.
Well, what about me?
And Natasha.
You're going to call us Jessica and the Boys and Natasha?
I'll come up with another name.
All right.
Anyway, Jessie says hi to me and you, Natasha.
Oh, hi, Jessie.
Jessica says, I've posted several articles about Indian mounds in the group pages. I'll have to tag Michael so he can check them out. Michael, check out the Indian mounds. Because I saw the headlines, but then I didn't read anything. Yeah, if you want to tag me, I'll check it out. Maybe tomorrow we can do a show on what are Indian mounds? What do people believe they are? Because they're not Ojibwe burial grounds. That much I know. I guess they predate when the Ojibways were in Minnesota. So they could be Sioux. They're probably like Viking or something. When all the explorers before Columbus came here. But your history books never talk about that. Who's Leif Erikson? Never mind. Up next, we're going to learn about Columbus, kids. Oh, I found that old Bugs Bunny cartoon. Did you post it today? No, I didn't. I should have. Next time we talk about Columbus and the globe Earth, I'm going to post that thing. But today, what I really want to talk about on this beautiful Eshwa Anima E Gijagud, the day after prayer day, is, I don't know, the thing that nobody seems to care about except me. What's that? Is David Bowie alive? No, he died years ago. Well, yeah, that's what the media will have you believe. But there's a bunch of holes in the story about David Bowie's death. So I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my relationship with David Bowie. After I say good morning to Wisani. Bonjour, Wisani. How you doing, Niji? Wisani's here, sweetie. Bonjour, Wisani. What's up? We're just talking about David Bowie, and do you think he's alive? You know, most normal people are like, no, man, he's as dead as Elvis. It's like, that's my point. So, David Bowie was like second only to Kiss in my musical influence, and like probably more so of an influence as an artist on me than Kiss. You know, I grew up in a very small town in northern Minnesota, where men were men, women were women, and you know, a very macho kind of, you know, the guys, you know, the kids in my class, their dads were all like truckers, farmers, loggers. We have a lot of people here who harvest logs or trees for the lumber industry, you know. And they would spend all year really out in the woods, cutting down trees, dragging them out on a skidder. You know, tough, hard work. And, you know, people would have called my town a redneck town. You know, low class, no class, but, you know, working poor, mostly white people. We're right on the border of Leech Lake Reservation. And so, anyway, so that's, you know, who we were. And so when I was a kid, right around that time of 12 or 13, when you're kind of deciding, you know, you're playing around with your identity, what kind of a person am I? Am I a jock? Am I a artist? Am I a, you know, hunter type? All my friends were hunters and that too. Hunting season was a big deal. In fact, when I was a kid, they used to close up school for deer hunting. We're like, no school this week, it's deer hunting. And I never went. I mean, I finally did go deer hunting as a young adult with my Uncle Vernon. But, you know, my dad never took me hunting or anything like that. So, and I was kind of you know, you guys know what I'm like. I like to draw and listen to music and whatever. But I remember the day I discovered David Bowie. My brother's friend, well, his best friend's older brother had David Bowie Changes One Bowie. There's this black and white album, and it had all his hits. It was like a greatest hits album. And I knew a little bit about David Bowie. I'd seen his creepy music videos on the Midnight Special on TV. At midnight on Saturday nights on our channel. Our channel. We only had 2 channels when I was growing up. But they would play, you know, music videos and whatnot. And he kind of gave me the creeps. I heard he was gay. But I love that song Changes. Changes. Turn and face the strange changes. And I remember going to the record store. And I had a Bruce Springsteen album, Born to Run, in one hand. And then I had you know, Changes One in the other hand. And it was almost like I was deciding, should I be kind of this, you know, small town Americana? Is this going to be my music? Because this is the other thing little kids won't know about the 80s. Back in the days of the grandfathers in the 80s, You could tell what a person's values kind of were by what kind of music they listened to. You'd have to read their t-shirt and you'd walk up and go, and if the t-shirt, if they were wearing a t-shirt that had a Leonard Skinner on it, you could assume certain things about that guy. Country music fans seem to, vote a certain way. And new wave fans, So, I decided to buy the Bowie album. And then I was hooked. Loved the music. Listened to, Also, back in the good old days, you would just have a couple of albums you'd have to listen to over and over again. Every day. I listened to Changes One at least once a day for, 6 years. I only had like 5 or 6 albums. But, and with, when you're like a 13-year-old kid, the music will influence like how you cut your hair and what clothes you wear, It really was like a cultural thing you kind of got into. And so by listening to David Bowie, I kind of identified as being an artist. And, he wasn't punk rock, but he was a guy who wore makeup. I wouldn't listen to anybody sing unless they had makeup on their face, whether it was Kiss or David Bowie or whoever. But, so I just, then eventually, I learned how to play the guitar. And I learned how, when I started writing songs, I wrote like David Bowie type songs, story songs. That didn't spell out the story, just interesting imagery. And, acoustic guitar. I didn't write songs like Kiss. I wrote songs like David Bowie. And then by the time I was 17 or so, the movie Labyrinth comes out. And David Bowie's Jareth, the Goblin King. And oh, wow, I thought that was cool. And I remember thinking, oh man, that'd be so awesome to do something like that with music and puppets and, all that. And, my life went on and I just kept buying every new Bowie album that came out, followed his career. And then about, I don't know, what was it, 5 years ago now or so? He dies and I just started crying. It was like I lost a family member. This guy and his music and his movies and just I drew him a million times. I knew his face really well. I had paid attention to, every new hairstyle. I mean, that was like half of his thing. It was like, oh, what's his hair? What color is his hair today? David Bowie was like the first male to color his hair. That was a pretty... Oh, he also kind of represented rebellion, like rebelling against your parents and, by acting gay. I still don't believe he was ever gay.
Yeah, I don't think he was either.
But he got a lot of press when people are, oh, so I hear you're gay. Oh, no, I'm bisexual. Oh, I guess that would explain your wife and kids. But after all these years, there's never been a single person. Angie Bowie, his first wife, once claimed she found David Bowie and Mick Jagger in bed together. But big deal, you can sleep in a bed with your buddy. Doesn't mean you're gay. But there's never been any rumor that, yeah, I was David Bowie's boyfriend. Nobody's ever said that. There have been countless women who said they were with Bowie, including, I'm not sorry to say this, but a 13-year-old girl who lost her virginity to David Bowie and Angie. So he was a creep. But anyways, I felt sad when he died. And the day after he dies, or supposedly, even though there was no funeral, he said, oh, he never wanted a funeral. There's no burial ground. Nobody can tell you, oh yeah, where was he buried? Or his ashes scattered? Oh, I heard he scattered his ashes in Bali. It was his favorite place. What? Bali? So he could live anywhere in the world. He's from England. He lived in New York. But his favorite place was Bali? Oh, okay. Just real suspicious. So the day after he dies, there's this video that comes out. And this guy that none of us had ever heard of, named Jack Stephen, comes on an interview show we had never heard of called Sky News. And he comes out saying, oh yeah, you know, it's such a loss. I feel like a part of me died. You know, I remember when John Lennon died, but this was really hard because he was the first true full artist, which is saying a lot. But, you know, he was into photography. And what? David Bowie was into photography? I never heard that. And he was into music and art and theater and whatever. And the guy just happened to look a lot like David Bowie. And there's all this weird, like, CGI computer interference with the film. And a lot of people are like, what the heck? Is that David Bowie with a prosthetic nose or something? That just looks like David Bowie. Who's Jack Stephen? Oh, I'm a record A&R producer or whatever for Fortress Records, they say. Well, Fortress Records turns out to be a Christian music label. And otherwise, there's no there's no Jack Stephen on the internet. You can't find this guy. Apparently he was a music insider all these years, but no one's ever heard of him. Anyway, let me show you the video real quick, and I want to see what you guys think.
Earlier, that I actually felt that part of me had died. I mean, I have to say that's how much an influence he is, I think, to me and to thousands and millions of people around the world. And strangely, I'm surprised. I sort of lived through John Lennon's death, Elvis's death, and sadly, this one's affected me more than any other. I mean, it's a very strange thing because I think with him, he was probably the first complete artist where he was involved in every single area of his career, whether it's photography, fashion, whether it was film, whether it was poetry, whether it was live work where he was very theatrical. You know, I mean, his vocal influence, a lot of people don't know this, came from Anthony Newley, who of course was a musical artist. So I find it very, very sad today.
People today talking about how he reinvented.
And that's about all you can get from that interview anymore. Day after his death, that interview was like 15 minutes long. But I scrubbed, well, it's just Google and YouTube. That was all I could find. You know, I mean, it's no secret that Google and YouTube are censor. That's all they do. We're totally living in an age of censorship. And it's just really weird. Not even that weird. It looks pretty obvious that David Bowie came on TV the day after his death in a dumb wig and a little bit of Hollywood makeup and pretended to be somebody else and then gave his own eulogy. Oh, he was the first complete, artist. A part of me died. It's like, I don't know. So I guess as a fan, I am kind of annoyed. It's like, oh, you played your final trick on us. Oh, what a curtain call. Way to stage your death. But what do you think? Does that look like David Bowie to you, or am I crazy? You're not crazy. I'm crazy in love. Get out of here. Jesse says, I've posted several... Wait. Oh, it's Brandy Marie. Oh, sure does look like him. Yeah, huh? I don't know. So you ask yourself, why would somebody fake their death? You know, it's not like he was in the public eye anymore. I mean, yeah, he put out a new album and he would always be David Bowie. But he could walk around. Nobody recognized him when he was just in street clothes. He hadn't been on stage in over 10 years. It wasn't like he was Michael Jackson who had to stage his death so he could just get out of the country and not get arrested for as many crimes. I don't know. Is there like some secret place where the super rich go, you know, when they're done here, like David Bowie and Elvis and Prince and whoever? I've heard rumors that you go to the other side of the ice wall, Antarctica, and maybe there's another country, and maybe they have the Fountain of Youth or something where you retire from your life here and you secretly go to the new country, and then you get like excellent health care, and it's like that all these, super wealthy people somehow disappear. They fake their deaths before they die so they can go get a second chance, second lease on life. Brandy Marie says, I heard that too. Yeah. You never know. Why is it that so many of these celebrity deaths come along with, oh, that's kind of weird, just with suspicion? Your grandma dies and nobody's like, hey, how come, she didn't seem to have cancer, But with almost every celebrity death, they go, what? Well, he said he had cancer, but then how come he's got a full head of hair? And he said he went through all this treatment. He looks pretty good to me. Oh, he was dying of cancer, but still had enough energy to write and produce a whole album of new songs. I would think you'd be kind of sick if you did that. Or like, I guess Elvis Presley and Prince, nobody ever collected on a life insurance policy. They never have wills done. That's their part. Like Prince didn't have a will. The guy was surrounded by lawyers and managers and financial consultants, but somehow never got around to writing a will. So, a month after his death, this sister nobody's ever heard of comes out. Oh yeah, I'm Prince's sister. Yeah, I guess he had like 20 half brothers and sisters. Whatever. No one ever talked about, never tried to interview. She comes out, and it's a woman who looks like Prince, same height. She says, "Oh yeah, my name is Princess Rogers Nelson, and I'm his long lost sister nobody knew about, and I'm just gonna take all this money." Wait a second. Did George Michael really die? Who cares? You don't care if George Michael's alive or dead? No, he was another one of those creeps. What do you mean? Like father figure. You think George Michael liked kids? Liked kids. Yeah, totally. What's father figure about? Well, think about the lyrics. I will be your father figure, put your tiny hand in mine. I will be the one who loves you till the end of time. Yeah, there's also something in there about how love is not a crime. Yeah. Maybe all these guys were facing... Remember when Trump was running for re-election and people were saying, yeah, he's going to expose the underground, sex trafficking stuff. And that's why Washington's freaking out, because he's gonna, the Jeffrey Epstein class, the Bill Clinton, Bill Gates people who all like to hang around on an island. And of course he didn't do a thing. I think in the end, when history kind of records Trump, they're gonna go, well, he was a big talker and did nothing. He got everybody super excited in good and for good and bad. People loved him or hated him, but he did absolutely nothing one way or the other. You know, never built a wall. He didn't change anything that would have had any lasting effect on the system. You know, he just took his turn, made a bunch of speeches. I mean, it was funny, I guess. But, you know, he never arrested Hillary Clinton. He didn't do a thing. You know. So, I mean, who cares that he lost? I mean, it's not like Joe Biden's a real president either, but, you know, Trump was not the savior of America. Sorry, half of America. I'm making a claim now. Yes, I know he was your boy. Yes, I know it was fun to see the college kids crying around over him. You know, I'm with you on that. The Women's March was hilarious. Yes, we all agree that he played those ladies like a fiddle. But he just came up, made a bunch of noise, and then went away. And, you know, he was at... Whose wedding was it? Maybe Hillary Clinton went to his third wedding, or he was at Chelsea's wedding or something. You know, they were friends behind the scenes. I have a theory that Donald Trump is actually, what's her name, that fat lady from VH1? You mean, oh, what is her name? Who's that chubby lady who really hates Trump? And one time they were like, hey, how come you call women fat pigs? And he goes, only that lady on TV. And she's not the most hateful person I ever met, but I never met her, but I can't remember celebrities' names anymore because I don't care. Yeah, what was her name? You know, she's kind of one of the first lesbians on TV. I doubt she was one of the first, but maybe she was the first who came out. Yeah. There was, you know, DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell. That's her name. So he really hated Rosie O'Donnell. Where was I going with that? I don't know. I was talking about Bowie and I got sidetracked with Trump. La 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 da 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 da. But anyway, man, it's just disappointing when your heroes turn out to... Oh yeah, it had to do with the... I don't know, I never get censored, but I don't want to use the words. Let's call them child lovers. Nah. Because that's not right either. But anyway. Where am I going with all this, sweetie? I have no idea. Ishwa, anima egg, Isha good. It is the day after prayer day. But what I really want to talk about today is back to traditional values. We the game. We the game. Married. Should you get weedy gamed? Should you get married? Or will it end in way binadiwag? Way binadiwag? Or will you get divorced? Should you get divorced if you are married? These are some of the biggest questions you will have to answer for yourself as you walk along this path. Wide is the road to destruction. You know, in the last number of years, I guess, and since the COVID pandemic, or maybe it was this even before then, but marriage rates are at a historic low, and so are divorce rates because of that. But fewer people are getting married now ever than in history. And I know I've kind of been brainwashed by this too. The very idea of the institution of marriage has, people think it's, you know, whatever you do, never get married. Because if you get divorced, your wife's going to rake you with a coal. She'll get your house and turn your kids against you. You're going to be in financial ruin. You know, she can falsely accuse you of something and you'll end up in jail just so she doesn't have to share custody of the kids or something. And people are saying, don't, whatever you do, get married. Or if you get married and things aren't going well, nothing wrong with divorce. In the old days, it was pretty shameful. It'd be like getting fired from a job or something if you got divorced. Now they're like, yeah, man, it's easy. $100, you just go into the courthouse, no fault divorce. Wham, bam. You know, not a single person in your family or friend circle is going to go, wow, that sucks. That sucks that you're such a loser. I'm sorry to put it that way, but there are winners and there are losers, and in your marriage, you lost. Even if it was your choice. You didn't choose right, and now your kids are children of divorce. And we all pretend that, no, they're fine. Kids are better off having divorced parents. It's healthiest for a child to grow up in a house where their mom and their dad hate each other. That's the best way to model, So many people get divorced now because their parents got divorced. Or they never get married because their parents never got married. So let's see, who's the oldest one here? Where's Papa Wagosh when you need him? I don't know, we should ask him. I want to know what Papa Wagosh would say. Into 2021, should men and women still get married? Well, what if they're in love? Well, maybe. I'm not saying they shouldn't. Michael, what do you think? About what? About marriage. Should people get married? Absolutely, if they want to. How come you're not married? I don't want to. Would you if you wanted to? Yeah, if I wanted to, but... So you've never been married ever in your whole life? Nope, never even close. That's weird. Is it? Well, it's just kind of weird because, I don't know. I mean, historically, most men your age would have had at least been married at some point, whether or not they were divorced by now. But you've never been married, never even close. Yeah. Do you think that's because you're, I don't know, stuck in your ways or something? You know, it's weird. You find yourself trying to justify why you didn't get married. Like there must be something wrong with you. But tell you the truth, I've never met a woman who was wife material. Is that right? Yeah. I mean, like a woman who didn't already have kids, wasn't, had traditional values, wanted to be a wife and a mother. I've only dated feminists who, they were different. I never met a woman in my generation who was kind of like my grandmother. Wow. How about that? That might be, you might be onto something there. Are women marriage material anymore? What do you think, Jim? I'm going to ask the men first. Jim says, it's just a piece of paper from the state. All right. Just a piece of paper. It's like filling out your taxes. Why would you care if the state... Yeah, if that's all marriage is, that seems pretty ridiculous. It's like signing up for college or something. But is it much more? Brandy Marie says, no! Brandy Marie says, don't get married. Sounds like somebody who's been married. So, yeah, people have had bad experiences with marriage. Their parents have modeled. I think for a lot of us, too, our parents didn't seem happily married. So you go, why would I get married and just be like my parents? My parents didn't love each other forever. Jim Dunn says, I believe in marriage, but the state needs no involvement. Yeah, I believe in marriage totally in the most traditional, like it's a vow you make with that person and their family and you in front of your own family and to God, that it's a ceremony, a sacred ceremony to mark the beginning of a family. I've always thought there was something kind of embarrassing about a 40-year-old woman getting married in a white dress. It's like, this isn't really for you anymore. The marriage is supposed to be between two young people before they ever, sleep together, certainly. That's why it was in a church, and that white dress is purity and all this. It's like, we're going to start a family after this. And I promise that I will forever love, honor, and obey this man. And he promises to love, honor, and cherish in sickness and in health and all this stuff. And they were held accountable. Their families were like, hey man, why did I see you at the bar last night? You're a married man. Go back, take care of your wife. There's certain expectations on the married man. And the woman too. There's a lot of, brainwashing, conditioning going on now. Which is, I start to get suspicious. Is like, are they trying to change my opinion on relationships? Because I was watching this one video, and there's a young mom, single mom, trying to explain what do they call it? Polyamorous relationships to her 5-year-old daughter. And to me, it looked like child abuse. It's like, you shouldn't be talking about sexual things to a child. And also this trying to normalize, just whorish behavior. We're polyamorous. It's like, no, you're just dogs in heat, and also the shameless culture we live in now, where there's just no, do what thou wilt shall be the law of the land, is kind of what modern relationships are like, I was watching an interview with this lady. She was a relationship. She gave advice to people. People would write in, and on YouTube she'd help them with their relationships. And I forget what her name was, but she was a, whore. She was a full-on prostitute, a sex worker, she called herself. And a guy wrote in and said, I met this woman. She's a professional lady. They always have to have euphemisms. And she's really dope, is the way he put it. Do you think it's a good idea to have a relationship with her? And the lady was like, yep, this is an issue for a lot of sex workers, a lot of people in the industry. They wonder if they can have a regular relationship with somebody. And her advice was, well, you need to just get secure with yourself. Can you accept her line of work? Just because she's getting paid to have sex with other people doesn't mean that she can't have a good, intimate relationship with you. I'm looking at this going, what? How desperate is this guy that he's thinking, hey, do you think I could marry up a sex worker and make her the mother of my children? That's not gross at all. I mean, do babies get whatever is growing, down there? But it was just so totally normalized. And she put it on him, like men need to get secure with themselves and not feel threatened by a professional woman, And I'm so like, is this legal now? I thought prostitution was illegal. Well, it's weird, because I think prostitution's illegal, but if you film it, then it's pornography, and so it's legal. Yeah, how does that work? Why is prostitution illegal, but pornography legal? Like, only if I film this is it no longer illegal? I mean, what if we applied that to, robbery or murder? It's like, you're under arrest for murder. No, it's okay. I'm making a snuff film. Oh, very well then. Carry on. I didn't realize you were making a YouTube video. So, yeah, okay. That was a close one, huh? Call off the cops. He's making art, you know. But, you know, that's the state we're in. So, yeah. So you never got married because you never met a woman who was even halfway marriage material? Well, just by my standards, you know. I didn't want to marry anybody who I wouldn't want to have children with. Yeah. And I didn't want to have children with anybody who had already had their, you know, 2 or 3 kids. And then, you know, just their track record and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to find marriage material, marriage worth. You know, I found you, thank goodness, huh? What do you mean? Well, like you're the last perfect woman in the world. Oh, get out of here. I'd wife you up. Would you? Yeah. People think we're already married. I know. How come we're not married yet? Well, because we haven't had time or money to film it. Maybe we could do that on the TV show. Yeah, that's a good idea. When we do our TV show, we can get married. Okay, that's going to be one of the stories when we get our show done or started. If you'd like to support, we have a GoFundMe program, our campaign, I guess, and we're going to film a proper children's show. And I think just like so many Shakespeare plays, it would be appropriate for the pilot episode for end up with you and I getting married. You know, that'd be really good if we could keep it funny. Yeah. Maybe we could have like a whole story about me, you know, asking you to marry me or something. Yeah. Michael, can you get to work on writing a good script? Yeah, because I've got nothing but time. Anyway. Let's see. Jim Dunn says, I believe in marriage, but the state needs no involvement. Yeah. People don't deeply consider the concept of living with someone for the rest of your life. That means going through difficulties, disagreements, illness, aging. Yeah. And they don't feel like they need to, like they've really even promised that, because as soon as times get tough, you know, they can just easily leave. Go get another husband. Jessica says, we live in a society of instant gratification. Yep. So if things are going well and you feel in love, you just get married. They don't think about how it will be when things are bad. Yeah. People casually get married, casually have children, casually get divorced. It's all in the now and in the me. It's embarrassing for me because I'll get invited to a person's wedding. And I hope none of my friends who are getting married or have been married are watching right now. But especially for your second marriage, I don't even want to go. I'm like, look, I was there when you vowed to love this person to the end of time, the first time around, and you didn't do it. And yeah, I know there's all these reasons, and maybe it's her fault, but still, don't expect me to care about your wedding and your marriage vows if you don't care about them. So don't invite me to your weddings unless you're serious. And, yeah. Oh, what a joyous day. You're getting married for now. I guess if divorce wasn't legal, then it'd be fun to go to a marriage. Go, wow, look at these guys. They're actually going to make a lifetime commitment. Oh, man, I want to see that. You know, it's like, oh, hey, look at these guys. They're dating with a piece of paper. Who cares? But that doesn't speak well of whether or not we'll ever get married. Yeah. I know you and I are showing a terrible example to the kids. Just shacking up with your old lady. That's not the way. It isn't? Well, it kind of is the way, but I guess I wish I believed enough in the sacredness of marriage you know, to do it. But I don't think the churches find it sacred anymore because they don't care if you get divorced. And the state doesn't care. Your family and friends, they don't care. Even your kids. Be like, yeah, you should divorce mom and dad. Well, okay. Jessica says, also our society pushes women to think about a wedding day more than an actual marriage. Yeah, that's the other thing. They, they'll spend thousands of dollars on that one wedding. Buying a dress you'll only wear for a couple hours. And it's all about the wedding. When's the last time you went to somebody's anniversary party? It is so rare now. Like when I was a little kid, they'd have anniversary parties for elders. I'd be like, hey, guess what? The Johansons are having an anniversary party. They've been married for 40 years. And town would come out and dance and get drunk. And go, hey, way to keep it together. Because the family was like the backbone of the whole community. They'd make a mess of kids and they would, family stood for something. But now, it's so embarrassing. I have a friend. How many times has she been married? And I don't even, it gets to the point where you're not even sure if they're real marriages. Oh, yeah, we had a traditional wedding. Oh, that's cool. And then next time you see him, it's like, hey, how's your husband? It's like, what? No, he's not around anymore. He's a bum. It's like, what? I thought you guys were married. It was that easy just to throw him out? And then she got married to a different guy. I know she's been married at least 3 times. And she's got 3 kids from 3 different guys. And each time I saw her, it was like a different husband. Like, who are these guys who are going, well, you married that guy, had a baby, and then got rid of him. Then you married that guy, had a baby, got rid of him. 3rd time's a charm. Yep, give me a turn. This time you will stay married. I'll let you, this is my rule. What's that? You get 1 free divorce. You can get divorced, because we're young when we get married, and sometimes, you marry the wrong person. But that's it. I'm sorry. You don't get a second marriage. You can date and do what you want. But don't expect me to come to your second wedding. I'm not doing that anymore. You hear me, world? No more second marriages. I also never buy wedding gifts. Really? Yep. That's just a policy I have. I've never bought a wedding gift for anybody. Like, how people give, oh, hey, I got a toaster for you. Congratulations. This toaster, you can start your new life with toast in the morning. And they go, oh, thank you. I'll send you a thank you card. Thanks for coming to our wedding. Thank you for the toaster. And then I come breezing through. They're like, where's your gift? Oh, I brought my guitar. That's half the time I'm playing in the stupid wedding. That's the other thing, I'll spend, $10,000 on a wedding. Pastors even get paid to put on a wedding, which seems weird. I'll pay everybody except the musician. They just ask me, hey, would you play, whatever dumb love song for our wedding? And you have to say yes. Oh, of course, I'd be happy to. Drive for 6 hours to your wedding, learn a new song, haul all my amps and my guitar and all that, perform 1 song for free. Oh, here, we gave you some cufflinks. You can take a picture with us in our wedding. I don't want to be in your pictures, your wedding. What do you think when you're 50? You're like, okay, kids, this is your dad and I when we got married way back in the 90s. And that was the guitar player. I don't remember his name. Yeah, no kidding. No. Sweetie, it's already 9 o'clock. What? Where'd the time go? I have no idea. And why are you so crabby against weddings? I have no idea either. I just kind of got on the wrong side of the bed. So, win the game. Can you win at the game of marriage? Or will you end up in a way Benediwug? Way Benediwug. We end up in divorce. You know. Isn't there a country song that goes, my divorce came today or something? Yeah. A lot of country songs about divorce. Yeah. There hasn't been a wedding song since go into the chapel and I'm gonna get married. Or there's White Wedding. Oh yeah, Billy Idol. Do 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 do. Hey little sister, what have you done? Do 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 do. Hey little sister, who's the only one? Only. I let you go for so long. You know what I think half the problem is, sweetie? What's that? People still fall in love, so they can't help but want to get married. How is that a problem? I don't know. But I want to play a song here for the BOOZHOO crew before I let you come up here. That makes me think of you. Oh, really? Yeah. This is a song by I forget who. This is how it feels when you leave. And so this is why I want to marry you. This is so there's always sunshine and warmth in my life. Ah, sweetie. It says, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Oh, actually this song could be about divorce too. Yeah, it probably is. So, up next, the lovely and talented Natasha. Okay. And this says, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. Wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gone to stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. And I know. Oh, leave young thing alone. I know sunshine when she's gone. And no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. I think there's no sunshine when you go away, sweetie. Oh, get out of here. It's true. You're so cute. Hey everybody, BOOZHOO. It's me, Natasha. Yeah, it's weird, you know. Like, I love being in love. And I love it when I see friends find true love. Or what seems like true love. But if I'm being honest, it's been quite a while since I've known anybody who is like happily in a relationship. Do we know anybody who's in a good relationship right now? That is a good question. It just goes quiet as we both think. We have a couple of married friends who wouldn't admit to being unhappy. Do you think those two people I'm thinking of right now The last wedding you played guitar in? Oh, yeah. Do you think they're happy? Do you think they love each other? I think they're unhappy. And no, I don't think they love each other. I think he's just afraid to be alone or something. I think he wants to be... Okay, yeah. I remember good relationships. My buddy's parents, before his mom died, were very much in love after all those years. And they had 5 kids and everything. And I think he wanted to have that kind of family. And so he married her. No, that's the second. No, they're miserable. They're drunk all the time and they fight. And if you're happy and in love, you don't need to be drunk that much. You don't need to fight that much. No, I feel sorry for him, actually. Yeah, me too. Sorta. I mean, it's his own fault. But yeah, I think they're unhappily married. And, I also don't want to, like I was reading, Jesse, this is what Jesse has to say. Divorce used to be only legal for specific circumstances. When it was made legal for any reason, it really cheapened the meaning of marriage for your whole society. Yeah, it's true. And she says, you could bawl anytime you want. And yeah, we got rid of all shame, all kind of morality. But then Jessie says, her kids suffer from, it's not your kids, okay. Her kids suffer from ADD, all different dads. I was feeling sort of guilty that we were going to make, if any of our viewers are just like our friend who's got ADD. I thought Jessie was saying that she has a bunch of kids from different dads. It didn't start with our generation. My grandma was married 5 different times. And so she had children with 5 different last names. And, the siblings were, there's so many of them that some were closer than others. And it was, she was a good Catholic lady, So they had a, big family. And in the old days, these farm communities and stuff, it was very common to have big families and that. But, I don't know. I don't want to just throw out the whole idea of marriage and just say, yeah, people are stupid. Marriage is just a dumb, because it seems like it was at one time the most sacred ceremony we had. More sacred than a funeral. And, I don't know. Families are sacred and children are sacred, and so marriage, love is sacred. So important. So beautiful. And we can tell. I can't even explain why, but I feel like I don't even need to. Have you ever had your heart broken? You get it. It's like something happens to you, to the whole world. When you're in love and then you get your heart broken, it's just obviously important. On your deathbed, you're going to be thinking about, your relationships and your children and your wife or not wife or whatever. It has a lot of importance in our lives, and yet, I don't know, I feel like it's been corrupted or something, huh? Corrupted's a good way to put it. So, do you think you'll ever get married? I don't think I'll ever date again. Really? Yeah, I think I just aged out. I'm too old to get a woman who's, still of the age where she could make babies. Yeah. Well, why couldn't you just marry somebody really young? Well, because then, emotionally we probably wouldn't connect. I'd feel like her dad or something. Yeah. So you wouldn't want to marry a middle-aged lady who can't have children anymore? Nah. Okay. Do you like being single? I love being single, actually. I'm one of these people where I have a lot of hobbies and I can really entertain myself a lot. So I don't get lonely that much. Once in a while, like boredom feels like loneliness. But for the most part, no, I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet by not getting divorced. Yeah, don't get divorced, you never get, or don't get married, you never get divorced. Yeah, it's tough. So, I don't know. So Michael's destined to walk the earth alone. You and I are connected at the hip. That's right, sweetie. So, but you still have us, Michael. Yeah, I got you guys, so at least I have a family. Yeah. Maybe it's not a traditional family. We're like a modern family. That's right. Tune in tomorrow for the next episode of The Modern Family. Nah. All right. Well, you guys. Hey, sweetie. Yeah? Before you sign out, we got a call. We do? On what channel? Or what line? What channel? What line? On line 2. Okay. Caller, welcome to the BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO podcast. You're on the air. Hello there, Natasha. Well, hi, Kermie. How are you? Well, I guess I've been better. Really? How come? Well, I was watching your show about marriage and that, and it really got me thinking. Really? Are you and Miss Piggy married yet? No. We haven't gotten married yet, but I know she wants me to marry her. Yeah? How come you don't put a ring on it? Well, I probably would have before now if she didn't, give it away so easy. Really? Yeah, it was like the first date. She was, I like to walk around naked, but I didn't want to see her naked so quickly. Really? You didn't want to see Miss Piggy naked? How come? Well, she's a large woman. Yeah, she is. And there's good naked, and there's Miss Piggy naked. Yeah. So she gave it up right away, and you kind of feel like, what's the point? Yeah, kind of. And she's awfully bossy and angry. I guess I'm a little afraid that, if we got married, she might, it might end in divorce. Well, there's a good chance it would. Nothing. There are red flags all over the place with your relationship. It seems very toxic. She does not seem like wife material to me, but yeah, I guess over half the marriages end in divorce, and probably more now. But you're just kind of another one of the statistical, whatever, the times. No one's getting married. I know. I'm thinking maybe I should have married my high school sweetheart. Who was your high school sweetheart? Well, for one thing, she wasn't of a different species. Yeah. You think maybe you should have stuck with frogs? Well, yeah. But I didn't, I've always felt that way, but people call you racist if you don't want to marry somebody from outside your species. Wouldn't they call you like a speciest? Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Yeah. Well, if you want my advice, and since you called in, I'm just going to give it. I think you should run for the hills, Kermie. Well, I'm afraid to. Well, still, do it before it gets too late. If she gets pregnant, or you act a fool and marry an abusive pig like Miss Piggy, you're going to regret it. Yeah, I know. But I'm just so afraid to be alone. Well, you're not alone. You have friends. You could always call us up. Yeah, I know. Well, oh, here, she's waking up. Yeah, so? She doesn't let me use the phone. Okay, well, you better go back to what you were doing. Okay. Oh, hi, Miss Piggy. I'm getting off the phone right now. Who's that, frog? Nobody. Get off the phone. I will, sweetie. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, okay, Kermie. See, there's another unhappy couple. Yeah, I told him for years he's got to get out of that. He won't listen to me, though. Oh, well. Okay, you guys. I guess we better mahjong on. We're running kind of late. Thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it. I don't know if we got to the bottom of anything. David Bowie, marriage, divorce. But we did learn the word for day after prayer day. Ishwa Anima Egg is good. Monday. Tune in tomorrow for Dig If You Will, a picture day. And we might be showing a picture of a certain somebody's daughter's beautiful long hair. Haven't seen the photo yet, but send in any photos you'd like us to share on Tuesday's Dig If You Will, a picture day. Hey, Michael, Jim just said, keep your heart open, Michael. You never know. Really? Yeah. Okay, Jim. I'll keep my heart open. And my mind closed.
No, get out of here. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Miigwech Ganawabi Egg. Thank you for watching. BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO, the podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. I am Natasha. This is NANABOOZHOO.
Okay, miigwech.
This is Michael Lyons.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
And I will see you again. Giga Wabamin. Minawa. Oh, what? Sweetie.
One to teleport.